I think people really overcomplicate the process of creating a proposal, sending it to a client, and getting an invoice paid. I'm going to show you how I've been doing it for years and how I've simplified the process and really never looked back on those days where I used to build out super long proposals, like 15 pagers with way too much information that took me hours and hours and hours to create. I'm just going to show you how to do it simply. And whether you're a agency or a coach, solopreneur, whatever you are, this could apply to you. The tool that my agency uses for just about everything is called HighLevel, but I've used other proposal softwares. I've used, actually still have an active account for Better Proposals. That's one I've used for maybe 6 years or so. I think that's a phenomenal alternative. I'd still be using it if I hadn't just moved everything inside of HighLevel. I had no complaints about Better Proposals, so that's another one for you to check out. I'll put a link down below in the description to help you find it, as well as HighLevel. But I'm going to show you inside of HighLevel, and you can take whatever you learn from this and apply it to whatever tool that you're using. But HighLevel makes this super simple and gives you a few extra reasons why you'd probably want to consider using it. So inside of HighLevel, inside of your sub account that you're going to send the proposal from, you're going to go to payments and then documents and contracts. And I like to start with templates. One of the things that I did very early in my agency is create a template so that every time I go to send an invoice, I push a button, populate a couple details, and hit send. I'm going to show you how to do that here. We're going to hit new, and we're going to import from template library. You could start from scratch if you want to. Import from the template library, and I'll show you how it can save you just a tad bit more time. So there are a lot of proposals here, and if there is one that you like the look of, on the cover particularly, go ahead and choose that, or if there's one that matches with your industry. For me, I'm going to pretend I'm just a consultant or an agency, so I'm going to choose as simple as possible. The simplest one here, the CRM Integration Proposal, at least at the time of this recording, is the one that I like to get started with. So I'll hit continue. All right, and it's going to load it in. It loads you on the last page here. But essentially, this is the proposal builder. I think it's really good. Like I said, I've used plenty other alternatives. They all kind of have their quirks, but I like the way that the HighLevel one works. You can swap out your logo. You can hover over different pieces. You can select things like instead of proposal, like instead of project proposal, I like to just say proposal. I also sometimes will do like service agreement or contract, depending on what I want to call it, but proposal is pretty universal. And then I like to put here down below, I like to say for, and because it's a template, I like to minimize the amount of work that I'm going to do. So I'll insert a custom value. I'll find the company name. So you can do that under contact company name. Or if in your HighLevel setup, you're using accounts, you would come in here and instead of contact, you would use account, just depending on your setup. My agency just sticks to contacts. So we do contact company name and the colors and stuff. I'm not going to customize in this video, but you'd do that for yourself. This prepared for section, I really just kind of get rid of this here. So I just delete that. And then I would customize this with my agency name, my contact details. I'd make it a little bit bigger. You can tweak the little bits of design to your liking. If you like this like weird geometric thing going on in the background, you can keep that. If you want to get rid of it though, you want to click these three dots and click page properties. And right here, it's going to open up a URL. And if I copy this, you can see it's the entire background image is this like weird thing here. So if you like it, keep it. If you don't like it, just hit delete. It's going to make it simpler. You can either upload your own background image or you can insert like a single image here. Doesn't matter. I don't find people are impressed or not impressed with simple or complex pieces of paper that they'll never ever have to look at again. We can just leave that in there if we want to. So now when it comes to the content of your proposal, less is more. The more you talk about in your proposal, the more you give them to read, the more you give them to consider. You want to stick to giving them exactly what you talked about, either in your sales call if you do those, or your discovery call, or if you had a call where you do like a growth plan or a roadmap, whether or not you charged for that first call, this proposal just essentially becomes the written version of your discussion. That's how I do it in my agency. For most of our clients, we'll do a discovery call. We're working on kind of moving over more towards the growth plan and paid discovery type model. That's pretty popular right now. But generally people like discovery calls. So we just have a quick discovery call. We build the growth plan with them on that call. We tell them exactly what we're going to do for them. And then we just take that call, which is recorded, we turn it into a very simple proposal. And I like to do this within a few minutes of the call if possible. So if I'm having a discovery call that's 30 minutes, I'll book an hour of my schedule and I'll take the last 10, 15 minutes of that time to be able to build the proposal and send it. And I'm taking notes or using AI notes along the way. So let me walk you through what I'll do. In this particular proposal, we don't need the why should you use our services, right? They're either sold after the phone call with you or they're not. Although I like this like green swoosh thing, I'm going to delete this page because it also hard codes this green circle image on it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to clear out all of the pages. So I just have my cover just for saving time, and I have my payment page. I am going to go to the page properties and delete the background image off of this page because that CRM logo has nothing to do with my business. But I think this is laid out just fine. And what we're going to do is we're going to add a page in the middle. It's going to be a blank page. This is where we're going to outline everything that we talked about on that call in as much detail as we need, but no more. Now here's the very simple one pager that I like to use for every single proposal template. I haven't varied from this in over a decade. This is what I call the overview page in the proposal. So I start with a project title. And again, we're building a template here. So this is not going to be something that we're yet customizing per project. This is the template that we're going to utilize every time. So I'm putting basics here and very generalizations here so that when I use this template, I can just quickly swap out text. So the project title would be something like website build out or website migration to HighLevel. And the project subtitle would be complete rebuild plus reputation management, kind of like whatever you're kind of doing for them. Then I include a project details section that includes a timeline and the service fees. I like to keep that towards the top. And if there were any particulars in the project that they wanted to bring up, I would include that there. Sometimes like point of contact person, their name, their email type thing to very clearly identify the things we talked about. And then I like to list out the services. So if this was a website build out plus reputation management, that would be service 1, service 2. And then I list out bullet points that would be included in each of those services. Again, because this is a template, if your agency templatizes or productizes all of your services and they're always the same, which I highly recommend you do, then you can just pre-build these, like pre-build website build out, pre-build reputation management, CRM, lead automations, AI chatbots, whatever it is you're offering, pre-build those into your template. That way, when you go to send a proposal, you can just delete the sections you don't want to use for that client. Or if you've completely productized everything, then you just have everything already in there ready to go. I will say if you're still making the mistake of selling something different on literally every single client call, then this is going to take you a little bit more time to customize every bullet point per client and per proposal, but this makes it very easy to do regardless. So there's our overview page, and it really is that simple. There's one other thing that I like to include in my templates. I call it the items needed section. So I put in here items needed, and then I will again literally just bullet point out all the things that we discussed that I would need and even items we didn't discuss. So this would be things like, I need your DNS login. I need your domain registrar login. I like to put like all the stuff that I would need from them so that they have an idea in the proposal that they're signing the things I've told them that I need. Sometimes I'll add a section of what's not included, right? So like I'll put this in all of my proposal templates and then just delete it if I don't need it. This could be what's not included, what comes at an extra fee. And this is where you list things like, let's say your agency doesn't provide images. You would say you need to procure all images, or you need to provide all copy for the website. Here's a link where you can go get some photos. Whatever it might be, I'll occasionally have that section inside of my template as well. But for sure, an items needed section. Okay, and that's literally all that I put in terms of the project details. The next page literally goes right to the project fee breakdown. Put in my little spiel there, and then I'll change this to be a different font here. Otherwise, that looks fine. And remember, this is still a template, so we're not going to put in the exact products and the prices that they're going to pay, unless that is how your agency sells things. You always sell the same product package. You can pre-populate that or not. So I've pasted in my general service agreement here, and I will put in the placeholder. So if you're coming from another platform that uses different custom values, you can put in the contact and then find the company name here. So that way it hard codes automatically who it's between, and then you can have all your terms right there. Now what I'll typically do here is I will only have this be the service fees. So I'll change this to say service fees, and then I won't have them sign here. I'll actually have them sign on another page, but I will have them initial this page. So I'll put my initials right here. Just drop it down right there, just to initial that they've seen it and acknowledged it. And I forgot to add, in most cases, put an initial here so that they have initialed the overview. You can just drop it towards the bottom of the page. That's fine. Same with this. You can just drop it towards the bottom of the page. On this last page, I like to make this the signature page. I typically call it sign and accept. You can adjust this however you want to. And here is where I add in all of the official signature fields. So I'll drop those down typically right about here. And then I'll add in the date field, usually right below it. And I'll actually add a place for them to type in their name. And that's it for essentially the content of the templated proposal. Now you can do a few other settings here. Under the settings section, you can override the email configuration. So if you wanted to change this to be the name of your agency, if it wasn't brought in properly from your sub account, you could do so. You could change the email subject line. I'll typically have mine say proposal from agency name, and you can adjust your email template if you want to. So you can create like a fully custom one here. Instead of default, you could change this, build out a full custom email, which I have another video on my channel showing how to do that. You could enable a redirection if you want to. That's totally fine. And then you can upload attachments. I typically don't because I put my whole agreement and everything inside of my template. So that would be the email settings. Under this payment settings, you don't technically need to do anything in the template for your payment settings unless you know that everything's going to be the same every time. So now you're going to want to save your template. And now, give it a different name, obviously. So I like to call this my general proposal. That way, if I make different ones, like if I have one specific for productized service, I can create different ones and title them. We'll hit save on that again. And now we'll go back. And now if I want to create a new proposal for a client, I'll come into my template section, find my general proposal, click the three dots, say use template. And now this is going to create a new document utilizing this entire template for us. Up here at the top, I'm going to select the client that this is for. On the left-hand side here, if you lose track of this, it's this little person icon. I'll choose my contact there. You can see I chose a demo user of mine, and it filled in who they are. They're the primary person, they're the signer. You can add more recipients to this, and they can be recipients of the proposal, but you can designate them not as the signer. Notice that it says for, and it automatically populated the name of the person. It brought in the company name, which was Convology Testing. If you hover over it, you'll see the little value that it brought in there. Again, customize this to look a little bit better than what I've done here. But now on each of these pages, you'll see that you can come in and here's where you would customize it. So if I were creating a website migration to HighLevel project, and then I'd put in like a little tagline like complete rebuild and website management. And then I'd proceed to itemize all the services that they were getting, put in the little project, quick details, that type of thing. Then I'd come down here in my template. I forgot to swap out my logo, little things like that you'd want to correct. But now I can add products directly into this particular proposal. I don't have any in this account, but we'll just pretend it's the website hosting and management product. I could say it's a monthly fee. All right, so once you've got your products added into your service fee section, under this $ section on the left-hand side called payment settings, you can choose the type of invoice that's going to go out, whether this is just a one-time invoice or if there's going to be some kind of auto payments. So if there is going to be auto payments, you'd have to go to recurring, and then you can choose to generate an invoice at the time of signing, or you can say the frequency. We can say this is going to be monthly, every month on the, let's just say the 12th, ends never, enable direct payment to be collected after, and enable auto payment to automatically charge the card. There you go. That's how that would work. Now we can hit preview to preview the document. Brings it up in this previewer here where we can scroll through all the things that we've put together. Looks really professional, very simple, very easy to read. You can download a PDF version if you want to in the future. Your clients can do the same thing. And then all you would have to do is hit send. And then once your client signs the proposal, they'll immediately be taken to a page where they can pay that first invoice. They'll receive that first invoice, and subsequent recurring payments will be charged to their card automatically. So there you go. Pretty simple. Took us less than about 30 minutes to get that whole thing set up. And now you never have to touch it again, except for when you're ready to go and send out a proposal. You just make a few tweaks to it. And if you've productized your services, you'll cut down on your proposal process significantly to a few minutes. And if you're still making custom little tweaks on the services per client, instead of it taking 3 hours to do a large proposal, you can simplify this whole process down to still probably less than about 30 minutes. And if you're interested in my proposal template that I've used for the better part of a decade now, along with an example of my service agreement and how I put everything together, I make all of that available inside of Convology Plus. I'll put a link down below in the description of this video where you can find it.